CHGO White Sox podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Use the promo code CHGO
Guys, here's the thing.
when you sign up.
Here's the thing.
Hi, Lawrence.
I'm having a day, okay? So
A doozy of a day.
We just had a nice, for people listening to the podcast, I put the wrong intro on there, so sorry about that.
Do you want to redo it? We could just we could redo it.
No.
We could re-rack it.
Will Joey Gallo sign with the Sox? I don't know. It's still possible, right?
That was yesterday. That was on Friday.
At least he didn't sign with someone this morning.
So
yeah,
technically we can go with that, but no, I did that wrong. But hey, we're here.
Hey, we are here.
Who
I'm
else
Sean.
is here?
Hey, what's up? Who is Kielbasa?
No. Vinnie Duber is back.
Oh, you said Australia.
Yeah, Mr. Australia.
Yeah. All right. Welcome in. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. We are live from our studio in West Loop of Chicago. That's Vinnie Duber from Australia. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. I thought when you said you played the wrong theme, that was my signal to go. I thought you were already talking.
I was talking to the people out there. It was a problem.
This is quite the peek behind the curtain for everybody.
Yeah, there's definitely
the curtain has dropped.
Today, Emerald City, it's all over.
Today on the CHGO White Sox podcast, we will be answering your questions. It's a Mailbag Monday, so our diehards got a Vinnie Duber post earlier today, but they also got the ability to ask us some questions, so we'll answer your questions later on in the show. We'll also be setting the bar for the 2023 White Sox. We had a pre-show discussion after two big deals were made in the MLB world, and we're kind of figuring out where the White Sox sit. So let's first start off with Toronto, because this is the easiest one to sum up. Chris Bassett signs with the Toronto Blue Jays for 3 years, $63 million. Carlos Rodon's still the big domino to fall in the starting pitching market, but it seems like everything is kind of settled outside of Rodon.
That's a nice rotation the Blue Jays got, by the way. They got Manoah, who finished real high in that Cy Young vote. They got Bassett. They still got old White Sox nemesis Jose Barrios. So, and they still got Ryu, right? Is he hurt or something? Yeah, Kevin Gausman. They got a whole bunch of pitchers. They're looking good. I tell you what, you're writing today. I was trying to do kind of a general thing. Talking about the teams that the White Sox need to be better than. Obviously, the Astros come to mind. The Yankees come to mind. But who else is the class of the AL East? I think when we talked preseason last year, it was we were talking Astros, we were talking White Sox. That didn't really turn out to be true, but and we were talking Blue Jays. Mm-hmm. And I think going into next year, you gotta be happy with that Blue Jays team. Also, I know our guy KPW is a big Blue Jays fan, so he's probably dancing in the streets of Toronto right now. But that team's looking okay. And there's another team that the White Sox have to go get better than. And do so with maybe one hand tied behind their back here, as they've apparently had it during the offseason so far.
Well, I thought this was funny from Ben Nicholson-Smith, who works of Sportsnet in Canada. This marks the 4th consecutive offseason the Blue Jays have spent at least $20 million per year on a multi-deal free agent. Ryu, Springer, Gausman, Bassett, as they should, being a large market win-now team. And I just think that's funny, that 2019 year, because that's when the White Sox went out and got Dallas Keuchel and Yasmani Grandal. And it's funny how one team trods along, continuing to spend, and it seems like the White Sox have not continued on that trot. It seems like they had a little bit of a burst there with Yasmani Grandal and Dallas Keuchel, and then it stopped. And you talk about them having one hand tied behind their back, talking about those limited resources, like the Blue Jays don't have that. Seems like the Astros don't have that. The Yankees don't have that. The Padres don't have that. It is just very interesting to feel the dynamic of the Sox, and I don't know how they expect to contend. Thankfully, they're in the AL Central. I think it's the only thing that I could come to.
I'll say this. I think we know how they expect to contend. It's just whether that expectation is realistic or not. I think that there is a lot of – I shouldn't say a lot. There is a way, right? There is a world in which the White Sox guys, they're guys that they got, Aloy, Luis Robert, Tim Anderson, Andrew Vaughn, all their guys, play to their potential. And all of a sudden, it's, oh my God, remember how good the White Sox were going to be? Now they're good again. But the roster they had last year finished .500. And the offseason is for improving your team, for filling the holes that you had exposed the year prior. All the other teams that want to win the World Series are going out and doing that in big ways. You look what the Mets are doing, the Phillies are doing, the Yankees with Aaron Judge, the Astros with Jose Abreu, and now we can add the Blue Jays to that list, making another big addition to their starting rotation. The White Sox have basically come out and said they're not going to be playing in that end of the pool. And that's That's a hard way to go about, making a World Series push. The White Sox have the ability to have a very talented roster, a very good team next year. They are making it hard to do that by watching their best player walk out the door and choosing not to go after these high-priced free agents.
Well, and it's weird, too, because they had the mired in mediocrity. They reset the bar. They tried to rebuild, and then 2019 was that first year of progress. And it seems like they've taken wrong steps to get to that World Series each and every way. The Yasmani Grandal and Dallas Keuchel thing makes sense, but I think if we look back on the Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez deals, they're really still in those waters by themselves. No other MLB team has been like, oh, we're going to sign these players to $50, $60 million deals before they even pick up a bat in a major league deal.
Unique in very specifically in terms of before they play a game. But go ahead and look what they've done down in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. All those young guys that have been locked up by the Braves, that was what the White Sox did amplified, right? I mean, it seemed like last season they were sending out a tweet announcing a new extension once every 3 or 4 weeks. Certainly that has tried to be replicated. That approach has tried to be replicated and has been with success, it would seem, by the Braves. Well, the Braves already have a World Series, and the Braves have been the class of the National League for the last couple of years. The White Sox are still trying to get over the hump to be in the discussion of the class of the American League, and certainly there are plenty of people watching, I'm sure, that let out a guffaw when I say White Sox class of the American League because, hey, they didn't even make the playoffs last year. So this is a team that needs to improve in big ways, and right now they're putting a lot of their chips, if not all of their chips, on, those guys who are supposed to be good, they'll still be good. Trust us. It might work, but it sounds like a challenge.
What'd you say there? A Pedro Grifol?
Yeah, a Pedro Grifol, yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, a Grifol guffaw. So look for that when we get a big chuckle from Pedro during a pregame media session.
T-shirt idea.
Hashtag Grifol guffaw.
Oh, those are going to sell like hotcakes.
Yeah.
those Pedro Grifol t-shirts.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Guffaw, Guffaw, guffaw.
There you go. You're learning, people. The only one that really, I think, surprises me or was surprising, though, of the Atlanta extensions was Michael Harris. I mean, he was a rookie. They signed him $72 million, 8 years, but they did sign Matt Olson, but he's a pretty proven guy. They extended him, and then they extended the third baseman, Austin, I want to say Matthews, Austin Kelly, right? Who is the third baseman for them? Anyways, Austin Riley. Thank you. Austin Riley.
I'm like National League. Forget it. Who knows? Who knows what's going on over there?
But Austin Riley, I mean, he was a guy that was an MVP candidate before he even signed that extension. And you look at the White Sox too. Back what they did in the 2022 offseason, adding Graveman and Kelly, their bullpen they spent $38.5 million. The average MLB team bullpen is $10 million. So they're just in different waters when it comes to where they've made their extensions and where they've put or how they've allocated money to their bullpen. They're unique in, I think, those two ways.
Sure. I'm of the opinion that I know that's a big hot button thing with, oh my God, they spent so much money on the bullpen. I don't think that's really that big of a problem, to be quite honest with you. They have so many of these guys, these young guys, in what you would call the team-friendly end of what they're being paid. Go out and spend on the thing that every team leans so hard on when they get to October. The problem with the White Sox is they didn't get to October this year, and so they didn't get to use their bullpen in the way that they wanted to pay for it to be used. But envision a situation in which they're in a playoff series and, Major League Baseball in 2022 pitching usage comes into the to the playoffs, and you've got Lance Lynn throws a great game, but he's out of there by the 5th inning. You want all those guys that you spent all that money on pitching the final 4 innings of that game, and I'll tell you what, I know Joe Kelly had a real bad year last year. I know Garrett Crochet was hurt. But you know what? They still have a group of guys that could form a championship caliber bullpen. That is not something anybody should be worrying about when it comes to turning this White Sox team from 500 team that missed the playoffs into a team that contend for a World Series.
I think, though, if you just took that, $28 million difference between the average and the Sox, wouldn't they be worth if you just took that $28 million and was would you spend it on the bullpen or would you go and spend it on Kyle Schwarber? I think Kyle Schwarber would have helped the White Sox.
Of course, he would have helped anybody.
Right, but it's just if that was the budget for the White Sox, why are you spending 38 of a 190 on bullpen alone? It just looking at the mistakes, going through the autopsy of this White Sox team, it just seems like a mistake. It just seems like if people are wondering where it went wrong.
And it might be. It might end up being the case. You're absolutely right. Right now, if I'm running a baseball team, I would want to have confidence in my bullpen over, I don't know what the hell they're going to do. You know what I mean? And so that's why I think that's part of the reason why I think all this Liam Hendriks trade whispers that are going around is kind of ridiculous, because give me the sure thing. Give me the guy who's going to be that guy in the ninth inning. And I think Kendall Graveman, and certainly leading up to last season, Joe Kelly, would fall into that category of pretty reliable dudes at the back end of a bullpen. So listen, the White Sox are not done this offseason because they have two, in my opinion, pretty big holes that they've got to fill in the lineup. What you don't want to do is create holes in the bullpen to add to those woes, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to make this argument right now. I want to make...
Uh-oh.
No, okay. I was going to see if I could say that you look back at the bullpen and if it was Liam Hendriks, Reynaldo Lopez, and Jimmy Lambert as the best three relievers, but Graveman was better than Lambert, so I won't go there.
Certainly he was. He was very good.
More
and not only that, you're
similar
talking
ERA
about
plus.
these decisions were made prior to the 2022 season.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to evaluate them when they were made. You didn't know if Jimmy Lambert was going to do anything.
Right, but you also expected Joe Kelly to do something. Like the bullpens
right.
are just
you paid
so
for
volatile.
him to do something.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But
you have him signed because you would expect Joe Kelly to be Joe Kelly. And because of his veteran track record, I would expect Joe Kelly to be way closer to Joe Kelly in 2023 than what the White Sox got in 2022.
I missed you. Let's go to the Stephen Bardo super chat here. $4.99. We appreciate that. From Stephen Bardo. It's very odd how it goes. Super chat $4.99 from Stephen Bardo. 75 to 78, maybe 85 to 90 wins. Boomer bust. Still need left field. Roll with Sheets and outfield. I think rotation and bullpen is set. And that's true. And I think that's the other thing too. Like the White Sox seemingly really love Ethan Katz, and they love what he's done. So I think it is.
He's given them every reason to also.
Right. And now I think it's that maybe that's what's built into that regret after you get another season of, where he gets you get to see the top tier of Reynaldo Lopez and Jimmy Lambert. You get to see some more of the success stories, even with Davis Martin. Maybe that's where kind of those mistakes or regrets are kind of built out, because now you look at Ethan Katz and it's like, well, maybe you could give him a little less to work with and he would still give you some great results. So maybe that's where the sour taste is left with me in my mouth, but I don't know. But the rotation bullpen do seem set, and we'll get to the left field and Sheets talk in a second, because
hashtag Sheets talk.
Sheets talk. It seems like that is the largest need for the White Sox, is left field and still second base. And I think that some people might be able to contend that you can't even go into 2023 without still adding a major league level second baseman to the team and a major league level left field to the team, because
I would probably be in that group. I definitely would still rank second base ahead of left field. They're both on the list. Trust me, they need to get both of those things. That's my opinion. I don't think you can go into a season in which your goal is to win the World Series with second base being Romy Gonzalez and Larry Garcia. Those two guys could be very valuable to you if their ceiling, is bench guys, right? To put them out there as the starting second baseman or second basemen for this team would, in my opinion, just not be. It would not work. You need to go find yourself a second baseman. And because I guess I'm saying that because Gavin Sheets, again, I don't think he's a guy that you can play every single day in one of those corner outfielder spots. What I would say, though, is that I would have more confidence in Gavin Sheets to produce than I would in those two second basemen.
Yeah.
Or those two infielders, I should say.
I agree. I still think there's something in Lenyn Sosa. I think he was called up a little bit too early, and maybe that he went down to Charlotte. He's a little bit more seasoned, so I'd like to see him get another shot, but he could be on the bench. He doesn't have to be the starter for that. I think, too, also hit the like button in the honor of Vinnie's return. I do appreciate that from CHGO Sports. And I don't know where Alex was getting.
That's me.
Do I not love Ethan Katz? Ethan is great. And what I was saying, pull back the resources, and I think you could still see how great he is. But yeah, I think we were going through Cleveland's roster and the Sox roster and comparing position by position, and the White Sox, have a better shortstop, I think, Tim Anderson over Med Rosario. They have a better first baseman, I think, or DH with Aloy and Naylor. But the gaps between second base all-star Andres Jimenez and Steven Kwan, top rookie of the year getter, between Gavin Sheets and Romy Gonzalez / Lenyn Sosa is just so vast. Where even if the White Sox have more positions, quote unquote, won, those gaps right there could truly just define how much that's like 4 wins you add up between Jimenez and Steven Kwan right there. That could be like 8 wins right there, just decided by 2 positions.
Well, and again, we're not breaking any news by telling anybody that, right? And so I think the point being that the White Sox know that, and that's why I say they're not done. You can't go into a season like that. They've got work to do. And listen, this offseason so far has been dramatically unlike the, let's say, 3-4 that have come before it. I mean, how many times have we been sitting waiting for a big free agent to sign when the calendars turn into March in recent years? All of a sudden, that has gone out the window, and we are seeing like NBA, NFL style amounts of activity in baseball, which I think is very fun for somebody who wants to watch the game and wants to see that kind of stuff happening. That being said, the White Sox have months left to accomplish their business. And as we know, they've stated, or Rick Hahn has stated at least, that they're probably not going to be big free agent spenders, and they're waiting for people to start talking about trades. So if they've got to wait for all this to happen until they can talk about trades, it's no wonder that the activity has been so minimal to this point. But I don't think anybody is going to look at this team and truthfully believe that they're going to be like, all right, Mike Clevenger, that's it. See you in February at Camelback Ranch. They've got moves to make. They're going to make them. The question is, will they be good enough?
Well, and will they be soon enough? Like, my worry is just those dominoes will fall too quickly. And one of those dominoes is the trade market starting, and we do have a trade that was just dropped a little bit before we started the show. Lawrence, you're on top of it, but I'm gonna do a Shady Rays thing first. I'm gonna little segue. Here's a little ad break. We're gonna tease you. What's the big trade happening?
Okay.
You already flashed it though. So, anyways, you don't. They never understood why his sunglasses were so expensive, Shady Rays, so they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. Shady Rays are premium polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone in every lifestyle. And, of course, I got a black sleeve on my 2 pairs, and Vinnie is pulling out a white sleeve with his white sunglasses. Oh, my God, those are so you.
There we go.
Those are looking good.
Styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. Even with that, Shady Rays also provides 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed and have donated over 20 million meals to date. So not only are you buying incredible shades for a great price, but they also have a great philanthropic backing behind them.
Philanthropic. Well done.
Thank you.
Good word.
Don't know how to say it, though. They also stand behind their product and told our team that if anyone has a problem, they can throw profit out the window and do what it takes to get it right. Free returns and exchanges. You'll either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay them to ship them back. That's it. Do you love the shades?
They're fantastic. Take a look at those.
Vinny will not be shipping them back. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at ShadyRays.com. Buy one, get one free. You can get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem only at ShadyRays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades. Yeah, if you brought those to Australia, they'd probably get, scuffed.
I'm very glad I didn't end up bringing these to Australia. Every pair of sunglasses that I brought 3 pairs of sunglasses. They're all covered in like gunk from the ocean or like the sunscreen that I was sweating off my forehead. No, these needed to stay here.
And you got a fresh, clean pair for the winter.
Absolutely.
Hopefully they'll last you
Keep
until
the glare from the snow out of my eyes.
And the studio lights. And hopefully they'll last you for years to come.
These are some spring training shades is what these are.
They absolutely
I've made my off-season acquisition, and they're ready to go to camp.
Looking great. Looking a lot better than the White Sox acquisition so far.
Who spent more, Rick Hahn or Vinny?
Well...
I will just
it would
have
be
to
Rick
say
Hahn
Rick
because
Hahn,
Mike Clevenger makes a lot more than Shady Rays pairs of Shady Rays cost. That's for sure.
And that's the thing. They never understood why sunglasses were so expensive.
See?
If I had to pay $12 million for sunglasses, I'd be pretty pissed. So, I mean, you can get 2 pairs for $54 million. I mean, can you do
$54, not $54 million.
What did I say?
You said $54 million.
$54. Could you do 8 or 12 million divided by 54? How many times can you? How many pairs of Shady Rays can you buy with Mike Clevenger's contract alone?
Many.
A lot.
Okay. Anyways, a mathematician will figure that out. We also got to
Bust
let
out
you know,
the abacus for that one.
we'll also you don't have to bust out. Well, you might need to bust out the abacus for this because Game Time is going to save you a lot of money, and you're going to have to total up all the savings that you're going to get. They actually probably have a way to just say like, "Hey, we saved you this much." They're really nice people. Game Time is the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. If you ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could, like at the 50-yard line, courtside, floor seats at a concert, on the glass at a hockey game, it is possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you never thought you could buy. You won't find a better deal this season on Chicago Bulls or Blackhawks tickets. It was created by the fans for the fans, and that's why they guarantee the lowest price. So if you love CHGO, then you'll love Game Time, and the best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events. So
I
yes,
believe
Lawrence?
if you divide 12 million by $54, that means you can get 222,222 pairs of Shady Rays.
That's a deal.
So Clev's set.
Clev is set. Clev's
Clev's set when it comes to sunglasses.
hand out sunglasses to everyone in the White Sox organization, from Arizona to Chicago.
Clev, there you go. Here, White Sox, you ready? Clev sunglass giveaway day.
And well, he's Sunshine. That's his
There you go.
nickname. I mean, like he's
Clev has purchased sunglasses for all 40,000 people that go to the game.
And I forgot to use the BOGO code as I'm being told in the chat. It's actually, if it's 2 pairs for $54, that's 444,000.
Look at that.
444.
Wow.
So Clev's
Thank you.
got a lot of.
Every person that goes to a White Sox game all year could get a free set of sunglasses from Mike Clev.
Absolutely, you could just hand them out.
Yeah.
Here you go. And thank you, Dan, the mathematician, or is that Charles?
Both of
Thank you to
them.
both
Both of
Charles and Dan for your math here. And Bologna saying Shady Rays over Victor Reyes. Bright star they have in Victor Reyes. Let's go to the trade that happened.
Now we're going to go to the trade?
Yeah, now we're going to
Okay.
after the ad reads.
Okay.
I think Vinnie was probably sitting on the plane and just be like, "Man, I miss Sean's ad reads." This from
I
Jeff.
was on a plane for 20 hours. I'm not sure. I'm sure I missed everything, to be quite honest.
This is from Jeff Passan, but a bunch of people in the baseball world had this full trade where Sean Murphy gets set to Atlanta. Oakland gets Kyle Muller and Esteury Ruiz. They also get 2 other minor leaguers and catcher Manny Pena. And Milwaukee is the third team in this deal. They get William Contreras. He is the brother of Wilson. And Justin Yeager and Joel Pampas. The big thing, it seems like Oakland didn't get anyone great. Ruiz is a super utility man that stole 86 bags in the minor leagues.
That's really good.
But he had like
In 1 year?
Yeah. And he had like 18 hits above 95 miles per hour. So seems Billy Hamilton-ish. And then Kyle Muller,
Billy the hitter.
it seems like maybe he could turn into something. But people are saying that William Contreras is the second best player in that trade. So what did Sean Murphy just get dealt for?
He just got dealt because he plays for the A's, I guess. That's what happened. But hey, good for the Braves.
Well, does it make sense why the White Sox might have been in on that if the price was that awkward or
I mean,
clunky?
I'm not going to judge that package. I have no idea who any of those people are. I haven't looked through the prospect rankings or whatever. But, I mean, we've talked about the White Sox and what they have to trade many, many times over, and it would seem that their farm system, while getting better, is still being viewed as something that doesn't have a lot of potential trade chips in it. So, the White Sox aren't going to trade Oscar Colas because apparently he's going to be the starting right fielder next year. They're not going to trade Colson Montgomery because that guy's really, really good. But after that, who are you trading? And, I think if you're talking about guys to build a package around, those guys don't really exist outside of those top 2 guys who are very much going to be in the big league plans for the White Sox coming up in the next few seasons. So it's why I think everybody's going right to major league guys, but then you run into the problem of that flips the whole thing over again, which is if you're trading a major league guy, aren't you getting mostly minor league guys back? You can see the predicament that Rick Hahn and the White Sox might be in.
Well, he did try to answer this predicament at the, I was going to say GM meetings, winter meetings, and Ryan got this quote: "Would you dip into the prospect cash or cachet?
Cachet.
We'd be open to it. Look, there's a few guys who are on the precipice of contributing in 23, and there's others in the there towards the top of the list who are a little bit further away, we are very much valuing because of how they can slate into future rosters. But again, it's a matter of being open-minded. That's something that I think he said like 15 times, and every different answer was open-minded.
They have to be. Yeah. They have to be because the way that they're kind of, as we've been saying since the summer, boxed in.
Yeah, we know where we sit in terms of the 23 teams, in terms of our competitive cycle, what our goals are, and how we are committed in a few areas. We're going to remain open-minded about ways to get better. So, I don't know if they're really completely shutting down the idea of Montgomery. I think the one person that he was referring to in, precipice of contributing in 23 would be Oscar. But, I don't know if...
listen, everybody is jumping on Rick for not being able to get any activity going here so far. What I will say is that he said all the right things in terms of that point, in terms of they need to be open to doing anything. They can't take anything off the table. I don't think they have. The question is, though, like we just discussed, what are they going to get back? And so if you give up Colson Montgomery, are you basically mortgaging the future for going in at 23, and we're sitting here saying, well, do they even have a good enough team to do this in 23? There's those things that you've got to think about. But from when I asked him at his end-of-season press conference, would you be open to trading someone from the core? He said, yeah, you got to be open to everything. And so, that includes people like Tim Anderson. That includes people like, obviously, we've heard reports about Dylan Cease and Andrew Vaughn not being part of that list, but that includes people like T.A. and
Tim
Robert.
Was not being traded either.
Nor should he. But I'm just saying that you got to listen on everything. And I think there was another quote that Ryan got from Rick during the winter meetings that was along the lines of, listen, we have to listen. That's our job. We wouldn't be doing our jobs if we weren't listening. So absolutely, I believe that they are being open-minded. It's whether or not they find the right match.
Yeah, and with the domino of Murphy falling, that means the Blue Jays now have, the top catcher on the market, and we've heard that the White Sox might be interested in a catcher. Do you think that Danny Jansen or Alejandro Kirk would be a smart use of resources to add to this team, or I think those would be the two that are available?
I think it would, but I think it...
Because we said the two big ones are left and second base.
Yeah. I think the White Sox adding a catcher would be a very good idea because I don't know personally, maybe the White Sox, I'm sure the White Sox know, but I don't know personally what Yasmani Grandal's body is going to allow him to do in terms of playing catcher next year. And that doesn't even get to what is he going to be able to do offensively. I'm talking about being a defensive presence behind the plate. Sebi was okay, but if Yasmani Grandal is still your number one catcher, is that going to be enough defense behind the plate? But Yasmani Grandal's contract is what it is. Yasmani Grandal's not going anywhere. You've got, I would imagine, Eloy Jimenez playing DH basically every day. If you go out and get the left fielder that everybody wants to get, that removes DH opportunities for Yasmani. That removes first base opportunities for Yasmani when Andrew Vaughn is your everyday first baseman. And those obviously, Eloy and Vaughn, are two bats that you want in the lineup every day. I think Grandal is still capable of doing the kind of thing that they signed him to do, but those health problems that he's had over the last couple of years, what does that do to his ability behind the plate? It would make sense, in my opinion, to have somebody else play catcher a lot of the time, but the way the roster is constructed, because you're not getting rid of Grandal, I don't know if that's an option for them.
Are you more concerned about the quality or quantity of play from Grandal at catcher? Because I think the quality, even last year, was still on par with, and this is just the advanced metrics. The eye test is completely different, but his framing was still, he's always been around 9 through 13, and he was, I think, 13th last year. But he's always been bottom of the league in pop time, exchange rate, arm strength. He's never been that good behind the plate. So I think if he plays 100 games or catches 100 games and could still hit for the White Sox, that's the most important thing. If he's back there and still, if he could put an OPS of 110 up, I'd be thrilled if he can catch 100 games.
Anecdotally, the eye test, which you just mentioned, the defense at catcher last year was not good. I don't think anybody would say that. Sebi was okay, but I think they would be well served to have somebody playing really good defense behind the plate. I don't know where those Blue Jays guys or anybody else that might be available rank in terms of that, but that to me would be a need. I don't think it's a primary need, and I also don't think it's necessarily even possible with the fact that Grandal is staying atop that catching depth chart. If you go out and get a guy who had as nice of an offensive season as Kirk last year, is he still anything more than your backup catcher with the way the White Sox think of Yasmani Grandal, the way the White Sox speak of Yasmani Grandal, and the contract that they signed Yasmani Grandal to? Yas gets great reviews from the pitching staff. So maybe it's okay that he's back there as the number one guy because the pitching staff likes working with him. But I think, last year that was obviously a position that greatly contributed to the team-wide underperformance. They would probably be well served to improve there, but I'm not sure that the roster construction is going to allow them to do that.
Yeah, and I think it just might be a position that they have to bite the bullet on and just go with Sebi and Yasmani or even Carlos Perez. I mean, it seemed like he had a good season down in Charlotte. Maybe they like Carlos Perez more than Sebi Zavala and make that own decision on their own right. But I could see that possibly being a possibility where Perez has now played himself above Zavala, and we saw him a little bit later on in the season. All right, Lawrence, let's go to the setting the bar thing, because we were having a discussion here earlier before the show and talking about how the White Sox not only have to be better than the Guardians, but they've said like they want to be World Series contenders. That's what they're trying to build. So they have to be jumping, up to the Astros. That's not even the right one. Let's can this for right now.
Wow.
Well, I tried to send you the one that I made, but now it's like,
okay.
Yeah, now
it's like some generic one.
Yeah, it's some generic one that doesn't have the right layout.
Well, that's sad. Can I make it? No,
it's all right. It just seems like I think you could probably put 8 to 9 American League teams above the White Sox right now, that they have to jump to even be the best team in the American League. And if you look at the National League, the Mets are spending $400 million. The Padres are creeping up to like $250. The Dodgers are a little bit below you in payroll, but they're trying to figure out the Trevor Bauer situation before I think they go out and spend.
And the Dodgers are awesome.
Right, and the Dodgers are really good. So like, it just seems very inconceivable how the White Sox could win the World Series in 2023. And that's, even with the moves that they haven't made yet, it seems like they'll be active. But with all of the stuff building up, like I think there's probably about 20 teams that they need to jump before they could even be World Series champions.
Well, let's just start at the beginning, which is they didn't make the playoffs last year,
right?
And 12 teams did. Mm-hmm. So they got to jump at least 12, right? Because there are teams that made the playoffs, that got a chance to win the World Series. What I'll say is that I don't right now think that it's inconceivable to think that the White Sox could have a championship contending roster. But it's going to be, as I've said yesterday a lot, and I've already said today a few times, it's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard to do when you're not doing what all of these other contending teams are doing. They are bulking up. The White Sox seem to be, because of the investments that they've already made and the choices that they're making this offseason, kind of crossing their fingers and hoping for better. That being said, they have talented players who could deliver a lot better than they did last year. The problem is you just took your best player off the roster, in Jose Abreu. I think that rotation could be very good, but we got big question marks on 3/5 of it, right? We've got big question marks outside of the top two of Dylan Cease and Lance Lynn. The bullpen looks very good. The lineup is missing 2 everyday guys and big question marks on a lot of the other guys. So there's a lot of work to get done, and I think they are very confident in what Pedro Grifol and that new coaching staff are going to be able to do. And let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they do good work and they improve this team. The question is it going to improve not only to the point where they can make the playoffs, not only to the point where they can win the division, not only to the point where they can be as good as they were supposed to be last year with Jose Abreu on the team, but can they get to the point where they are better than the Astros, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Mariners, the Rangers went out and spent $1 gajillion. Mm-hmm. Do they have to jump the Rangers all of a sudden? And that's half of the league. Then there's the Phillies and the Mets and the Braves and the Dodgers and the Padres and the Cardinals. So, yeah, it's a big list of teams that they need to be better than. And the way they're going to do that is say, go get them, guys. And again, that might work. That it might work. But it seems like a very difficult way to do things. I mean, let's be honest. This is
might is the key word in that.
well, right. Well, that's why they play the games, right? But let's be honest. The offseason is about getting better. And to this point, the White Sox have lost Jose Abreu, they've lost Johnny Cueto, and they've added Mike Clevenger. The White Sox are worse today than they were at the end of last season when they finished 500 and missed the playoffs. And their goal is to win the World Series. So they have a lot of work to do, be that internal or external, to get to where they want to be. A lot of work to do.
Yeah, and I guess I should say Mike was doing a lot of holding there, and that
it was a load bearing word. Absolutely.
The White Sox want to be powering up in 2023, and ComEd will help you do that. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities we serve manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future. ComEd offers a wide array of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across our territory, and customers can inquire about how to upgrade outdated lighting to energy and money-saving efficient LED lights. Learn more about network lighting to operate your lights through your mobile device and track your facility's energy usage, and more. Incentives have recently increased for indoor-outdoor lighting and network lighting controls, making these projects even more cost-effective than before. So visit ComEd.com/poweringBIZ now to start saving money. That's ComEd.com/poweringBIZ now to start saving money and energy. And to start a project, contact us at 1-855-433-2700. And for more information, email businessee@comed.com or publicsectoree@comed.com. Thank you, Dolphin Lawrence. I
thought that was a creaky door. I thought was it WD-40 was needed over there.
Could be a dolphin, could be a seagull. Either way.
I took dolphin. Chicago, you've got your best dolphin noises. You've also got the best coverage for your favorite sports team. So get fitted in the best sports gear around. FOCO has got you covered from Soldier Field to the living room, north or south side, with hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. Get decked out like DeMar with apparel from the leaders in sports merch and collectibles. FOCO, that's FOCO. If you're looking for the perfect gift for the football fan in your life, FOCO's got you covered with hoodies that fight that Lake Michigan breeze. So check out FOCO.com. Again, that's FOCO.com, or click the link in the description below. And for all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. That's at FOCO.com. All non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. Great bobbleheads on that website. So if you are looking for a gift, last-minute gift, check out FOCO.com. All right, let's go into the mailbag.
Santa's bag, if you will, for the
Mailbag
season.
time. Yeah,
we have one more week until we get to Santa's, right?
It's December.
I guess. But, when is Santa granting wishes? Not
year-round, Sean.
Well, then why are we having Christmas?
He's magical.
I don't know.
He holds on to him. He grants them, but then they don't get delivered until the one day.
And Timmy O wants to know, when does free agent start, Vinny?
But ching. You got it. I mean, they signed Mike Clevenger.
Right.
He was a free agent.
Well, that was what Rick, I thought, Rick was, I was listening back to the audio, and, Rick was pretty funny. He was like, I told you all that we're going to not be active in the free agent market. So we went out and signed a free agent. And we were the first to do that. So they were on it with at least Mike Clevenger.
Listen, I'll say this. I'm surprised of the way or I'm surprised by some of the things that Rick has said, because usually he is all about keeping everything on the table, right? Keeping all the doors open, all the options open, to come out and basically say, yeah, we're not going to be in on these high-priced free agents. And I believe that was a direct reaction to the way things went with Manny Machado, however many winters back that was. And he admitted to saying, oh, boy, I got expectations a little too high there. And so now he's playing things down. But, yeah, they went out and signed a free agent. But I will say, I would think that after this the season that they just had, it would be a lot more of the same, we're open to everything kind of talk.
Do you think that a slower market possibly benefited the White Sox with those larger free agents? Because from what I remember, it seems like the Bryce meeting happened even in January, and it's
winter meetings.
Was it winter meetings? Okay,
it's the year they were in Vegas, right?
All right.
And isn't that right? I think so.
2019, I think.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it was the last winter meetings to happen.
So, and Boris was having him at the hotel there in Vegas, so... Yeah,
because I thought they brought him into the United Center. I thought that was around January, and I thought they had a meeting in Chicago.
Oh, that report. Yeah, I remember when that was all going around. I mean, you could have more than one meeting, but right, I'm just saying.
But I do wonder, were they still in it, or possibly the slow playing market? Did that help them? Because I even think Machado, you get to the end of that, and they were still in it.
I think you could say it would help any team, right? any team that was serious about getting those players, it would help because you're still in the running all the way up to the end. I don't think when the offseason began, they thought it was going to come down to the White Sox and the Padres for Manny Machado. There were so many other teams that were being discussed as possible destinations and stuff like that. So obviously it benefited those two teams by then staying in it all the way to the end.
Machado does have a player opt-out coming up when he's 31.
So here we go again? Is that what you're saying?
Do you think that was something popped in my head earlier today? Like, if he does become a free agent again, do they bring back Yonder Alonso? Do they bring back John Jay? Do they try to get Manny Machado again? I don't know. I think hopefully those line up where his player option lines up with Yohan Moncada's end of his contract, so they can make a nice little swap there. Let's go to the next question here, Lawrence. This one's from Alex Rude. Picks for the World Cup semis and finals. Messi going to finally win it all. So Lawrence, I think you got the bracket for us, which I do appreciate. We got the Argentinian team taking on the Croatians, and we have France taking on Morocco. So if you got to pick, what are the two teams in the finals? Who's going to win it all?
Well, I'll say this. So I am not, the world's biggest soccer fan, but have followed this one closer than any other one before.
Same.
My wife is a big soccer fan. She used to play soccer when she was younger. So we've been watching it. We've been watching the games that we could watch, even though they were mostly on in the middle of the night in Australia. But watching a lot of games. We woke up early some days to watch the U.S. games, and we also watched the Australia-Argentina game in the knockout round in the park in Sydney with all the Australian fans and everything, which was really cool.
Setting off flares.
Yeah, they were setting off flares. It was dangerous. But my wife's family is from Croatia. So nice. Big doings with our family now that Croatia has made it to the Final Four here. So I'll go ahead and pick Croatia as my rooting interest, at least for the Final Four here. But boy, has France looked good, have they not?
Yeah.
We watched the France-England game the other day. The French look all right, even though England was seemingly dominating the possession in that game. France is all right. So I don't think anybody would be super pumped to see a repeat champion unless you are French or speak French like Lawrence.
Bonjour.
But yeah, I'll be pulling for the Croatians over the next week here.
You got a feel?
I mean, I'm sorry, you gotta root for Messi at this point.
Really?
Yeah, he's got to get his cup, man. He's the greatest soccer player, football player of all time, whatever you want to call it, and he deserves a World Cup in his trophy case. So,
he's the best of all time.
Yeah, I think he's ahead of Pele at this point.
Didn't Pele win like 3 World Cups?
Yeah, I mean, and he's Pele. I get that, but like, I don't know. What he does is astounding, and he deserves one. So.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the tougher draw. If I'm one of these teams, Argentina and France, definitely rather play Morocco than Croatia. So Argentina's got a tougher road, I think, than France. But I'll take France to win it all, just because I think they'll cruise by Morocco, and if they're going up against Argentina, I don't think Argentina has a chance. So France.
Morocco? Is this true, Lawrence? Hasn't Morocco not allowed a goal the whole time? The one goal they've given up was an own goal. Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. I was hoping you were going to say yes. They are the first African team to make the semifinals.
They are, which is very cool.
That is my stat about Morocco.
Very cool.
I don't know, other than delicious tea.
They have not allowed a goal.
Yeah.
0-0 Croatia. They shut out Belgium. Canada did have a goal, but I'm assuming that was the own goal,
I believe.
Yeah, and then they shut out Spain and Portugal. Damn.
Cool.
I mean, great defense. But
it'd be cool to see Morocco. That's like George
Yeah.
Mason, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've
Yes.
George Mason to this right now, so that's
correct.
fun.
no African teams ever made it to the final, right?
Or the semis.
yeah,
The semis?
This is
The
the
two?
furthest
Wow.
one's ever gone.
That's crazy. So, yeah, definitely would be the
No
Cinderella
one was
there.
expecting actual World Cup talk when
No.
that question was asked. That was sarcastic, I bet. But how about that?
Yeah, well, this is also the most I've ever paid attention to a World Cup, too. So it's funny that two casuals have paid attention the most. And Lawrence, like the one diehard outside of our soccer people here, you're not even, you don't care about this World Cup.
No, I've been very much not paying any attention to the World Cup. I'm anti the Winter World Cup, the Qatar World Cup.
That's very reasonable.
It's just it's not great. And it's ruining the seasons like the Premier League season and all the other European leagues.
Soccer
being off
elitist.
for
Lawrence
like a
Bennett.
Yeah, really.
I mean, it's been great. As an Arsenal fan, it's been great that Arsenal's been top of the table in England for this last month because they haven't played a game. So that's kind of cool. They're going to be top of the table at Christmas, which is fun. But they've also lost their main striker, Brazilian Gabriel Jesus. He's out 3 months with a knee.
This has gone way off track here, Lawrence.
Yeah, well, it started off track with my beginning, so it's fine. We're continuing off track.
Go Arsenal, I guess.
Thank you.
Let's go to the next mailbag question here. We got this from Save Ferris. At the beginning of last season, it was the first in a window of possible playoff runs, and the White Sox were a preseason favorite. Has that window closed? Is it locked? Open a crack? Why? And what can change that? And I think we've answered it, but I would say we kind of surmised open a crack, and it just depends on the trades that are made.
I wouldn't even go that far. I'd say absolutely it's still open. The whole point of this thing was it to be a window, for it to be multiple years, right? The whole idea was to avoid a type of season where the team would contend for 1 year and then drop back down. That's what we've seen happen in the past with this very White Sox franchise, right? So the idea was to not do that. And it's still set up to not do that, right? All these guys, these young guys that were supposed to power this whole thing, they're still there. And they're still under contract, and they still have that potential. Until we can definitively say, oops, missed on that one, and now this roster is no good, you can't say that this thing is closed. I mean, it's hard to win the World Series. It's hard, apparently, to contend for the World Series. The White Sox have not contended for the World Series yet. That is the thing I think that is surprising some folks and has drastically changed expectations. But the fact that they still have these guys, you ask what can change the window from, not looking as dismal as it might look to some people right now. The guy's playing better. That's what can change it. If you don't believe that that's possible, then okay, you're in the boat where the window needs to be altered. But right now, I don't think you can say that it is impossible that this collection of young, talented players cannot still be much, much better than they were last season.
How long do you think the window would be open? If you look at their salary breakdown right now, 37 players signed for $139 million. This is on Spot Rack. In 2024, 31 players for $142 million, and then in 2025, 22 players are signed for $63 million. So do you think that is kind of the drop-off? Because then, they're under 20 players after the 2026 season, and around under $50 million at that point. So, is it kind of the signed player window is 3 years?
No, I think that it is. I think the length of the window is determined by what happens moving forward. I think you can look at it right now and say, well, boy, when those contracts end, there's going to be nobody on the team. How will they contend? But the point is, or the thing that they are expecting to do and should be doing, is continuing to add, continuing to have young guys come up and fill those holes. They go out and they sign a big free agent that, extends things down the road. You can't say that it's going to close at a certain day until it closes. You know what I mean? Nobody thought that the Cubs window was going to close after, not 2016, but the years that they made the playoffs and advanced, because they still had all those guys under contract. But I don't think anybody thought that it's like, all right, all those guys are going to be free agents. That's it. Once that's done, they have to go back down to the bottom. There's no rule that you have to go back down to the bottom after those contracts run out. The idea is that once Tim Anderson's contract runs out, Colson Montgomery should be up and playing, at that position, or they can re-sign Tim Anderson and play Colson Montgomery somewhere else. Right. The end of Aloy's contract is not like the end-all, be-all date, because guess what? They should be adding to that team and signing guys past that point. Right now, today, there's a lot of pessimism because they haven't played up to their potential by a long shot yet, and they're not seeing the next generation, be it of prospects or people from outside the organization, that are going to come in and extend the quote-unquote window when it comes to the actual contracts that are being signed. I keep bumping into this mic. But the point being is that you cannot say the window is closed until it's closed, and we have no idea what. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they play really well next year, then everybody says, oh, the window's going to go on for forever,
right.
So, yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's really in their control, though. Like, if they want this window to stay open, it just is dependent on, like what you said, sign a big free agent at some point. Like, that does need to happen, I think, for the White Sox to truly have that window to, of longevity, I guess.
The answer is yes, but you don't know how that's going to shake out. You know what I mean? Like, let's say next year, everybody plays really well except Moncada again. Let's say Moncada has another bad year, and it's like, okay, they need this Moncada thing's not working. They need a new third baseman. Or next year, Yoan Moncada could be an all-star level player, and they need a pitcher. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what that big free agent is going to be until those needs arise. And I think part of the problem right now is what's working against the White Sox is I don't think they can take 2022 because, A, they've invested in so many different young guys, B, so many different young guys had a down year, and C, they expect so many different young guys to be much better next year that I don't know if they can look at anywhere but the two spots on that team and say, well, what is our need going to be in 3 years from now? Like, they can't worry about that right now, and there is no big free agent at second base to go say, all right, we're going to put the extension of the window on the back of, like they could have last year, Marcus Semien, right? So I don't think right now you can answer really any of those questions except, is the window closed? No, it's not closed. But, boy, they better start playing better because what they haven't done so far is take advantage of the window being open. And are they going to be able to do that? That's the question. Not is it going to close. They've created the window for themselves. It's can they take advantage of the window while it is definitely open, because it's definitely open now, to make sure they can keep extending it and keeping it open.
Great question, Ferris. Let's go to the next one. We got Steven Gottrett. Given that Cespedes was projected to debut in 2022, is there any chance we'll see him in the majors this year? And with the understanding he hasn't had a ton of minor league experience. And thank you, Steven, for the question. Does he mean Cespedes or Colas?
I mean, Yoelqui Cespedes is a person.
Yes. Yeah. That is true. But I think
he was signed to the organization earlier than Oscar Colas. I mean, I think right now we're at the point where we definitely think we're going to see Oscar Colas this year.
Yes.
I mean, the GM has come out and said he might be the opening day right fielder. Cespedes was another very highly rated player when he was signed, as an international free agent. And so it makes sense that he should be knocking on the door at this point because he's put up some good numbers in the minor leagues, but also he was just so hyped when they signed him, not maybe to the point of Oscar Colas, but I believe Yoelqui Cespedes was the number one player in his signing class when they signed him. So Cespedes is a more interesting case because I don't think he's wowed quite as much as Colas has, or even someone like Montgomery has in the minor leagues. But I think the chance that we could see him, you should be able to see him, right? I mean, at some point, I don't know if he's going to play the role that everybody wants a prospect to play, which is come up and be the everyday guy and light the world on fire. Colas is the guy, I think, that it sounds like the team at least would expect to be that kind of player. Maybe Cespedes comes up and is a fourth outfielder. But I think, as I always say about the way the White Sox have operated in the last few years, it certainly seems like they'll wait for the player to show them that he's ready rather than put something on him. Yeah,
recently turned 25. September 24th was his birthday. Played mostly in Birmingham this year, 120 games. And his strikeout to walk ratio, I think, is just going to keep him away from moving up. He's kind of an average hitter down in Birmingham, at least, 769 OPS. But his OBP is below 350, 154 strikeouts to 29 walks.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Not even like a 3 true outcomes guy. Like, he will hit some home runs. It ran into about 20 of them in Birmingham. Also had about 30 doubles, so good power there from Cespedes, and stole over 30 bags. So, like, a toolsy player, but I still think just very, very raw. So I wouldn't be surprised if he continued to stay at Birmingham this year as well and just started out there.
At Birmingham at least, yeah.
And I don't know if he'll get that, even immediate promotion to AAA. So I think he's a little bit behind, and that's why we're still talking about Gavin Sheets, or we're still talking about Oscar Colas being the opening day left fielder, and Leury Garcia being in the mix too, is just because it's a very thin position right now, and that's why the number one need for them is still left field, whether that be in the trade or market or free agent market. Let's go to the next question. Thank you, Stephen, for that question.
I believe that was it.
That was it?
Before. Yeah. Am I wrong?
I don't think so.
Were there 4? There's supposed to be 4?
There were 4. There were 4.
I counted 4.
There's 4. Hey, if there's 4, there's 4.
4 for 4.
All right, cool. Thank you to all you 4 for sending in those mailbag questions. And hey, it's 5 o'clock, so we can wrap it up right now.
All right.
I thought there was one more, but we're all good. Thank you, Lawrence.
Do you want to make one up?
Lawrence, you want to ask us a question?
Yeah, ask us a question.
How was Australia?
Terrific.
Amazing. See, there we go.
Did you not listen to yesterday's podcast? You talked all about it.
Obviously, I didn't.
Well,
so
maybe you
I
should
was,
check that out.
I will do that after this, maybe on the way home.
There you go. After
for
listening,
perfect for your commute.
Yeah. After listening to us for an hour, you want to listen to us for an hour.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Who doesn't? Shout out to Herb. He'll hopefully be back in a couple of days, but he's got some personal family stuff that he's dealing with. So we send our best wishes to him and his family. Thank you to Lawrence Benedetto for doing the show today, producing the show today.
Terribly, but okay.
Yeah, you did a great job. That's Vinnie. I hosted the show terribly too. Don't worry. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us in the chat. Thank you to Casey for dropping something off screen. Thank you to Shady Rays for sending us those sunglasses as well. And again, we appreciate all the diehards who sent in mailbag questions. And we'll talk to you tomorrow at 4 p.m. here on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel.